Hello and welcome to another Daily Muppet. At home again. My webcam on my computer continues to not work today, so recording this from my phone here again. Got a fair bit of news this morning, a lot of it confirming a lot of things that we've been talking out for some time. So let's get right into the confirmed news and talk about what do we expect and where does it go from here. Just pulling something up so I remember what to talk about. Quite a few things, actually. Real interesting. Number one, David De Gea. October 5th, I put out a video that said United would be offering David De Gea lower wages to stay longer, with the plan to sell Dean Henderson, get De Gea to stay as the potential number two as on lower wages, as obviously his $350,000 a week contract, or $275 now it is, without Champions League, is way too high for the long run. They do not want to keep him for longer than that. Offer him a reduced wages, a lower deal to keep him around as a good alternate goalie and pursue a new top goalkeeper, a new modern style goalkeeper, which is what Ten Hag wants, with Diogo Costa top of the list. Not the only name, but the name I've heard that is the top of the list. And a shaky performance from a young goalkeeper at the World Cup is not something to judge too heavily. How he performs in league consistently and over time is going to be the bigger thing for that. Every goalkeeper has their moments in that respect. Ederson doesn't start for Brazil, obviously. That's because they also have Alisson. But, point being, international is not really the only way to judge how good a goalkeeper is or can be. Regardless, that has been the plan. Offer David De Gea those lower wages to stick around longer as a reliable backup and alternate goalkeeper and pursue a top target. And that is now confirmed by Laurie Whitwell, that they have offered, that they are not triggering David De Gea's extension because they do not want him on $375,000 a week. The leverage is all in United's hand with this situation. Accept it or go find a different club. And I don't think that he will find another club where he will be the starter at this point in time. And if he does, it would certainly not be at the same level of competition. And probably even still not at the same reduced wages. United's reduced wages are still going to probably be decent for, longest club servant and frankly, someone who should be considered pretty much a club legend in some respects. So he'll likely be offered somewhere in the range of, 150, 125, 100, something like that. And that's still more than he's going to get somewhere else. So I do expect this to happen. He wants to stay. I think it'll work out for everybody. And I'd be happy to take De Gea on those wages for a few more years, so we have a consistent, reliable, in effect, backup. Even if he's not the style keeper, he's made improvements this year, and I think he's good for that. So that's De Gea. The options have been triggered on Dalot, Rashford, and Shaw as expected, and one more player, which is Fred. Now I want to talk about that one before we get into Dalot, Rashford, and Shaw. Initially, this was somewhat misquoted, but it was real interesting how this happened. But it was somewhat misquoted in a few places online. But I put a video talking about Fred's situation and how they did not necessarily want to lose him for free, but it was more likely they would extend him and then he would leave in 2024 when they make a move for the midfielder. Now, this was before a lot of the sales stuff was going on, where I'm thinking they don't have the budget to spend anything beyond a striker, so a midfielder is not possible. However, from how I've gathered the situation as it pertains to Fred and his chances at United, how do I put this? How do I explain this in a way? I'm just trying to think of this. I didn't expect him to go for free because, one, Donny van de Beek is expected to be sold in summer. He's expected to move on. I know people want young players to come in, but in a lot of instances, they're not ready. The profile that Fred offers is still something unique at United, and we're seeing, even just a few months in the season, we started to see Eriksen start to struggle more and more in a deeper role. As he gets older, he's going to have to move into that backup 10 position. I think that by the end of the year, he's going to be more rotating in there. And I believe that Ten Hag's vision, in an ideal world, if you think about it, would be Casemiro and Scott deep, a new signing, Obviously you have the names, we'll talk about this, Frankie de Jong, Jude Bellingham, are the big names. I don't think United get either, but then you take possibly a name like Enzo Fernandez. One of those signings, an 8, right? An 8. With Fred as the backup and Bruno and Eriksen at the 10. That makes sense for 6, 8, 10. And then you have young players like Kobbie Mainoo, Hannibal Mejbri, who will be coming forward in the next year or two to come off the bottom of that. You don't want to be reliant on young players, especially in the midfield, and commit to needing them. You want Hannibal to replace Eriksen. You want Mainoo to replace Fred in there and get some rotation minutes, get some time in, and really work their way into the team properly. So I think if you're thinking with a long-term plan, think Casemiro, Scott for 6, new signing Fred for 8, Bruno and Eriksen at the 10. That makes a lot of sense because Eriksen is going to have to move out of that deeper role. I do not see it lasting, and I think Erik doesn't see it lasting either. But with Fred's situation, then he can go in 2024. He can go in 2024 for free, most likely, and it will allow United to make a signing now and have him back up and have him, Ten Hag has shown this a lot. He likes his profiles. He likes to have a similar profile and have multiple players of similar profile. And I think right now the problem you have in midfield is Eriksen and Fred are totally different. And then there's nobody like Bruno in how it all mixes up. So I think he's wanting to shift that where you're getting a Bruno and Eriksen where you have more of a creative 10. And then you have it as an 8, Fred and a new signing like Enzo Fernandez. For me, would be the best fit player. I think he had an amazing World Cup and is incredible. And I don't think that Jude and Frankie de Jong are viable. So just to touch on that, and then wrap up the Fred thing and move on to the contracts. Frankie de Jong, I do not believe the reports still, some of them, that private assurances, blah, 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 all of that. He still does not want to leave Barcelona. He never wanted to leave in summer. I just don't buy those reports. And I think that now that the summer is past, it's even less likely, that he's going to be pushed out of Barcelona. It's been commented on by a lot of people. Himself included in some of the documentaries that they've done and things. So I'm not biting on that, and I don't think that Jude is coming to United either. So I think they're going to have to look elsewhere. But I also think if you make this comparison here, it's kind of funny. You brief Jude and Frankie de Jong and a midfielder, and then you extend Fred like the next week. That's not exactly a statement of confidence that you're going to sign Frankie de Jong and Jude and you're not going to need Fred. It's not. But I wouldn't have that confidence. I think a young player like Enzo is more likely, more viable, and a better fit anyway. That's my opinion. We'll see how we get to in summer. But right as of now, from everything I hear outside the club, Frankie de Jong, Jude Bellingham, wouldn't expect them. Manchester City are heavily looking at Jude Bellingham too, as well as Liverpool, Madrid, all of that, obviously. And Frankie de Jong, as I said, doesn't want to leave Barcelona. That's still what I'm hearing from outside, so I wouldn't expect either of them. But I brought up the Fred thing because right when I made that video, a report came out that Fred was going to be released for free in summer. And it wasn't this was from Jamie Jackson, Guardian, that Fred was going to be released from summer and Harry Maguire sold. And that Fred's option was not expected to be taken. And this is just me being petty, but it's also... still just, sometimes I still feel like I have to prove myself. I always remember that because I knew it wasn't true, that Fred would get his contract extended one way or another. It was either free in 2024 or a new short-term deal on lower wages. That was always the plan. I always knew that was going to happen. And whenever I catch heat for some certain things being wrong, I just like to wait because so far, practically everything that I've been hearing has eventually come out one way or another. And I know I don't have to continue to prove myself to people watching these videos, but still, I like to keep a log, keep a record of these things and all of that. It always helps to be reliable. That's always what I want to do, is provide accurate information. So hopefully I can continue to do that. Dalot, Rashford, Shaw, as expected, as we've discussed for some time, all of them are going to have their contracts extended. All of them had their options triggered so that they cannot... The reason why they haven't been given the new contracts yet is, one, these talks take time on new contracts, but two, Again, I believe the contracts will not be finalized until the sale situation is sorted. I don't think those contracts will be done until the sale situation is sorted, so they can work it out within the framework of new ownership, things like that. And I think that the players and agents are probably waiting to see what's going to happen. How is the club going to change? Is there going to be more investment? Is there going to be, what's happening with all of that? But Dalot, Shaw, Rashford, very, very, very key players to Erik ten Hag's system. And yeah, so beyond that, I think what the news gives you today is that Dean Henderson will go. New goalkeeper target still brought in, is expected to be wanted. David De Gea on lower wages, or he can go for free. Van de Beek will be let go. Fred is the one I expect to stay in terms of that midfield, with now a midfielder signing coming in. Because with Fred being extended, there's really not space unless someone goes, and that person will be Donny Van de Beek. I'm quite confident in that. They will be looking to move him on by summer. Dalot, Luke Shaw, Marcus Rashford's contract's extended. Now, the other news is obviously Cody Gakpo, and you're getting reports still flying around that they're looking to get him. The price of $50 million is still what I understand. Again, all it comes down to right now. I mean, effectively, I would call it a done deal, except all it comes down to is the final thing. Will the Glazers put the money up for the player? That's all I would say. And I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. That I still don't know. We'll find out come January. But if they're going to, it'll be very early in January. We need someone now. You see what I mean? Point being, they don't even have to wait till January. Why don't they make a deal now? If we want to get him done, they could get him done at any moment in time. So it should be very, very early in January if it's happening. If you're going to January 20th and this deal isn't happening, I would start to say, mid-January even, why would they not get it done early if it was going to happen in this case? And I know I've said that before about Glazers and United, but in this case, it's more relevant. It's a deal all parties would want. PSV are willing to sell. The price is kind of known. Same agents as Ten Hag. There's no issues with that. There's no issues with anything. It's literally a matter of, will they put the money forward? So if they're going to, you'd expect that to be early in the window, because that's when Ten Hag needs them. Now, we don't have any forwards. We're going into the first game, Sancho's still not returned to training. We have Anthony Martial while he's healthy and Rashford right now. That's it. Period. That's our forwards. That's our senior forwards, not like Ilanga and such considering, but that's it for our established senior forwards who are at the level 3. This isn't sustainable. So if the signing's going to happen, you likely see it very early in the window. That's what I've got right now. I'm trying to think if I had any other pieces of information. Let me just look at my notes here. Obviously, then there's the right back situation. Diogo Dalot suffered an injury, which makes it harder for Wan-Bissaka to go. I'm still looking and hoping they bring back Ethan Laird in January. I think it would be a smart decision. He's played really well. All right, that's what I've got for today. I'll make sure, to try to keep passing along information. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've said in some earlier videos that haven't yet come out yet. I guess we'll see come January. We'll see in the next few days and weeks as we lead up to January what happens with the whole striker and attacker situation. Okay? Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. Hope everybody's having a happy holidays, and I will see you in the next video.